Hello again! Welcome back, my favorite coder cats and coder kittens. As usual, this is Becca going by Nightcat or Nightcat's Meow, most places when online. And I'm back once again for another week to talk to you about Linden scripting language. I also have an apology to make. The second series I talked about working on last week, I've just had too many other things coming up this week to get that finalized, including continuing to deal with things related to the basement aquarium situation, if you remember me talking about that. And my trusty companion iPhone 5S, yes, I know how old that is, finally giving up the ghost to a pebble on my driveway when I was trying to get groceries out of the car, and the screen cracked badly enough that not everything is on a same level, which means that I start to scratch up my fingers working it. So figured, it's about time. That thing is like 7 years out of date at this point, I think. Um, and so I've now got myself finally jump ship to Android. Yay. Um, it is much better than the old experiences I had, but I'm still getting it all set up. That has been going on today, as well as a problem the first time I recorded this. So fingers crossed that all is well. Now, back to the actual nature of the day. You may be wondering why I'm standing in a white box in the middle of my sim, and that is because I said last week that I was going to show you about adding a light function to the glowy orb thing that we've been working on. Hello, glowy orb. Sorry, I was using that one as a test run earlier. But in order to explain light, I also want to go through and do sort of a mini tutorial of something very simple that will go over the fundamental functions of this. I believe I've done a basic light bulb rig before, or basic lamp rig before, but we're going to cover it again just for certainty's sake. It's going to run on your basic toggle that I've shown you several times. But it'll be a good way to go over where to get the fundamental, what the fundamental numbers we're going to plug into the glowy orb are and why we need them. So at this point, I think I've covered basic toggles enough that I shouldn't have to explain most of this. Um, but just in case somebody's tuning in out of order, what I just set up there is a simple integer, which can also be a Boolean, which is true or false. A lot of programming languages, Boolean are handled as a separate variable type. In LSL, they are actually just a subset of integer, which means true or false just literally mean 1 and 0. Um, but so saying switch equals false is the same as switch equals 0, but it is just easier for the person writing it to read. If you're trying to jump to another programming language, bear in mind that they will actually treat Boolean as a separate variable type in a lot of other languages. So this is just one of the ways that LSL is simplified, which is one of the reasons I think it's really great for somebody to initially learn to script or learn to program, because you get a lot of those basics with a lot less complexity. So this simple touch asks if switch. This means if the switch equals true. So doing that is the same as that. It's just simpler to write. If it is, change it to false and run the off function we create right here. If it's not so, change it to true and run the on function. But what are these functions going to do? They are going to use set primitive parameters which is the same thing we use in that glowy ball for controlling the glow. And as for the rules, keep doing that wrong. You can scroll down in the wiki page to find the specific set of rules. In this case, we're looking for prim point of light. And then you can just Control C, Control V, helps if I don't have that in there. Also, I'm going to show you one other thing, link. This will allow me to control something other than the root prim, or the prim the script is running in. Since this is the off function, we're going to change that boolean to false. Vector color for the test, we're going to make it something very easy to see on the white here. We're going to make it red. And intensity, radius, and fall off. These are the ones that I am doing this to teach you about. As soon as I can get my camera positioned how I want it. To do that, we're going to change my sun position to midnight. I'm going to edit this here. Features, light, red, because it's a nice high contrast color for this. Alright, you see sort of a vague, shadowy, you see it best on the ground there with that shadowy circle there. Intensity goes from 0 to 1. As I lower the intensity, you see it kind of fade out there. We'll bring that back up. Radius has a similar impact. It controls how far from the object you'll actually perceive that illumination, how far it will stretch. And then fall off is how well it dims as you get further and further away from the source. The field of view, focus, and ambience are not important unless you're doing a directional light, which involves having some texture there. As you can see right down in there, we can also see it gets more defined as I increase the radius, and it gets fuzzier as I lower that down. Fall off affects it similarly to the way intensity will. But we don't need that for the object we're working on. So we're going to put no texture there, which gives us back our generic lighting. You can also see a difference in radius here because you can see the light on here, but you can't see it over here. I increase the radius, you start seeing it over there as well. So that sort of shows off what these do. So with that shown, we'll bring the code back up. We'll set it to an intensity of 1, a radius of 10, and a fall off of 1. Back to my roots here of trying to show you something practical with every lesson, something usable. Now you notice the only thing I changed here was true or false. And that only errored there because I forgot to put my semicolon in here. I tell you all the time, love your semicolons. There we go. A simple toggle, a simple light switch, and a simple way to look at light. Now we're going to bring this back up. The only thing we need to edit is this one right here. One of the beautiful things about primitive parameters is that you can set more than one parameter in the same line. So I'm just going to copy paste that in. Add another comma to separate this. Of course, that needs to be true, otherwise we won't have light. if we want it to match the pulsing glow of the object, we're going to want it to match the color that is produced. Color now. That only defaults it to black. If you remember from last week's tutorial, it's all changed down here dynamically. We can keep the intensity. The thing that's really going to sell the light pulsing and getting brighter isn't so much the intensity. I actually experimented with the intensity. What's really going to sell it is the fall off. And the way you want to set that is you want to have it match the level of glow. The glow goes from 0 to 1, and the fall off goes from 0 to 20. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark that there's a formula to run here, a little bit of a math problem to run here. We take the number for glow now times 20. There you see it go. As it brightens up, you see the room here start to take on the glow of its colors. And it adjusts not only with the level of glow, but with the color. When I tried it with the intensity, you didn't see the effect as much, but setting the radius, that really sells it right there, that this is projecting that light, and that light is fading as it goes. You could do the similar with the intensity, but I think changing the radius actually sells it better. I'll just do a quick demonstration of the difference there. Let's make a copy of this. Excuse me, Precious. She's looking for some lovin's. I would do my usual thing when she comes to me during videos and set up a shot from my camera on my new phone with that, but it is currently recharging from doing a lot of initially setting stuff up and a lot of me learning my way around Android. So, there we go. This time, it's going to actually only change the brightness to be the same as the glow now, because glow now is, and you see it slowly raising the intensity. Glow now runs between 0 and 1, just like intensity does. And it should pick up a fresh color here in just a second. I'm guessing it rolled something really dark. First, there we go. Now we're seeing a color come in. Come on. I've seen you work before. None of that affects the colors. There you go. Now you're starting to get an effect here, but is somewhat less pronounced. Let's wait for it to roll a brighter color and see if that... Okay, normally it doesn't jump that fast. That must have been a glitch in things. So you see it does actually show up, but it looks, to my mind at least, a softer variation. It doesn't have that same sense of it expanding outward, at least to me. Maybe it works better for you. Maybe you think that that works fine. And then as it fades out, it still is reaching over here, just dimmer. So I personally prefer changing the radius to changing the brightness. So, yeah, we rolled a much better color this time. demonstration. So, with that little demonstration under our belts there, as usual, I will say, actually, before I give my usual outro, I will mention to a newer user on our Discord, Echo, um, that I will be among the things I'm going to do this week. I'm going to look over the link you provided and see what I can understand on what's going on there. And you all can, hopefully, look forward to a video discussing persistent prim memory allocation. It'll probably be a bit more of a technical topic than a lot of these videos have been. Oh, there you get a nice example, by the way, of what this does. You see it actually showing up in the glow layer on my eye because it's emitting light now. It shows up in the reflection of my eye. But as I was saying, I think y'all are ready for some of the more deeper technical topics. I've covered a little bit in regards to lag reduction and the like as that, but this will be kind of a deeper dive into those matters. So, until then, good day, good week, good luck, happy coding, and as all, from your favorite coder kitty signing off.